And good morning, and welcome back to the VSA Capital 5 Minute Morning Miner. It's 2023. Paul, Happy New Year. How was
And
it for
hap-
you?
and Happy New Year. Thank you very much. I did stay up for the New Year's break too.
Well done, I must confess. I didn't. There you go. What can I say? Um, anyway, look here, let's get going. It's all a little bit itsy bitsy this morning. There are one or two little bits of news, and of course, there were one or two little bits of news in between Christmas and New Year, which are normally rather worrying. One of those actually was Goldstone Resources, actually, wasn't it, Paul? The AIM-quoted Ghana gold producer.
Yes, yes, that's right. They came out here where at the end of last week where they said they missed their own production target by over 20% for the year ended 2022. They had intended to produce something a bit over 7,000 ounces, but only managed about 5,100 ounces, a little better, where revenues came in at just over US $9 million at an average gold price of $1,793 an ounce. It does also take into account the fact they had a robbery of where they had lost about 200 ounces, they figure, back in June. But there's also other operational problems as well, which reared their head. Things like difficulty with agglomerating the ore seems to be an ongoing issue. And then they did experience consumables inflation of over 50% in November, for example. For 2023, they're going to concentrate on training local staff as a priority in order to try to get the production rates and the operating reliability on a more sustainable basis. So we'll see what they can accomplish in 2023, but I don't think this is going to reflect very well in the financial statement as they reported either.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's an interesting little company because it is obviously in production, which is always has a lot of value. Run by Emma Priestley, who I have a lot of time for. She's very good. But it sort of needs a bit of a corporate something to happen, doesn't it, probably, Paul?
Yeah, it needs, I would say, probably both some sustainable capital infusion, but also some changes in management level as well of various kinds in order to get more experience activity going there.
I wouldn't be surprised if a few people are having a good look at it, but there's one or two large shareholders. You've got to get them on side. Now, we've had a couple of suspensions because of accounts. We had Kazira in between Christmas and New Year, which was slightly disappointing. Obviously, they're the joint venture in the Whalehead Mineral Sands project with Tectonic Gold, and also Goldplat as well now have had the same thing, haven't they?
Yes, they have. In Goldblatt's particular case, they just didn't get their audited accounts finished in time for the scheduled AGM that they held on the 30th of December. They expect, or they've set a tentative date to have those accounts in hand for shareholders to approve by the 20th of January. But in the meantime, the shares will be suspended from trading until such time as that's completed.
Yeah, I mean, whilst on bad news, we've had another drilling delay in Tanzania by Helium One, haven't we? But I think they just couldn't get a rig, could they?
Well, they had a rig that they arranged, but hadn't been, and actually had a tentative contracted signing as well, or an indicative, you would call it a memo of understanding, I guess, as far as a contract for that rig. But the previous utilizer of that rig has re-upped it or recontracted it for all of 2023. So therefore, Helium One is back to the drawing board of selecting a new rig and contractor. So that date of when they might be able to set a new timetable is yet to be arranged.
All right. Any other specific stocks you want to mention, Paul?
Well, it was interesting. I saw in the auto sales figures that came out here that Tesla, for instance, managed to sell more Chinese-built Tesla cars in Germany than the German-built cars themselves. It's the difference between the two models that they produce, Model X, Model 3 and Model Y. One is built in China and the other is built in Germany, and they actually sold more of the one built in China this past year. Record rates for battery electric vehicle sales in Germany and in China, but that was probably a reflection of the rush to get vehicles out of showrooms to take advantage of expiring sales subsidies. So it's now in the politicians' hands to see whether they install any new, what I would call quantitative easing in the auto sector as sales subsidies for lithium vehicles.
Yeah, I think all information coming out of China has to be taken with a little bit of a pinch of salt at the moment. We just don't know whether the numbers are right or wrong. Obviously, with the way they've done this complete U-turn on COVID zero. Anyway, we will. It's the year of the rabbit this year. We're coming up to the Chinese New Year in about a month's time. They're obviously run behind us. But going back to the year, I see that nice to see that gold and silver has started the year off well. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that carry on this year, has to be said. But we've got gold at 1836, which is a nice move up, and the one actually that's silver at 24.27. Very good news for silver producers like Guanajuato Silver.
And I would put a reminder in for those investors out there, and particularly the institutional ones, the performance for gold and silver on the year in protecting portfolio value has been exceptional this year in compared to their other sector holdings. So they should be keeping that in mind for 2023.
There you go. Very good. Nice to be back. And I will be doing most of this week with you, Paul, and then I'm off to the States on Thursday to do some marketing out there and try and drum up some business. But I'll be speaking to you tomorrow. Thanks.
Very good. See you then.